Can you imagine on your wedding day, you look into the eyes of the person you've chosen to spend the rest of your life with? Everybody's there, your aunts, your uncles. You spent all this money on cakes and celebrating. And you look up into the eyes of the person you're going to commit with, and you see that they're there for a reward, or you see that they're there out of guilt. You look in their eyes and they just have so much shame, or you look in their eyes and you see that they're there out of fear. They're afraid of doing all the wrong things, but so they're doing the right thing. But the truth is, you need to look at your partner and see love and know that they are there because they love you. And are you there because you love them? Because we can play and toy with all these other motivations, but in the end, it's that childlike love that we all need and we all deserve.
Hey, I have to apologize for my voice. I'm getting over a cold, so my apologies. Today we're going to do things a little bit different, and I'm super excited about it because I think that there's pandemic in our society of this attitude that if you care about me, if you love me, then you'll think the same way as me. And so I just want to refute that. I think it's a ridiculous ideology, and I think it's toxic. It's founded in narcissism, really. Why does everyone have to think the same way as me? And I love the diversity. I think it enhances our life, it enhances our perspective. It's nothing but beneficial. And if we wipe that away, the world is a very narrow, small place. So there's my little soapbox. And that's why we're doing this. Who knows how it will turn out. But even if it turns out badly, Beth and I will still love each other.
Yes.
So we read this book. We both agree it's amazing. Life-changing.
Beautiful. Absolutely beautiful.
Yes. And it's called Bonds That Make Us Free by Terry Warner. It sincerely has been life-changing for me. So we wanted to talk about it. It's been life-changing for Beth. Every time she's like, oh, are we going to do the, not justification, what did you call it?
Motivational.
Motivation one. I'm like, what are you talking about? We haven't even talked about doing a motivation one. And she's like, no, Gina, don't you know? I mean, we have been doing this for some time now, right?
Back and forth, back and forth, back and forth.
And if I don't have the time, or it's over text, I don't have the time to clarify what in the heck she means by motivation.
I think I've frustrated her thoroughly.
And you too. I'm like, no, we're not doing that one. Let's do this. And we're both talking about the same thing. There's been times when I say, no, let's not do the motivation one. Let's do the one about victimization. And she's like, well, I don't know what you're talking about. We're not so. And we're both talking about the same book. So I thought, what a beautiful opportunity to go through this and show you some beautiful truths that we found in this book. We'd highly recommend you reading it. I don't know Terry Warner, but I'm sure he'd appreciate you purchasing it. Just show you how we can have two different approaches and two different takes on it and still benefit and be friends. But one of the beautiful things about having different perspectives is I read this book and I saw all of the victimization, okay? That's what I saw. Because that's what I needed to see right now in my life. I needed to see where I was falling into victim mentality and how that was affecting my relationships. And Beth saw motivation because that's what Beth needed to see in her life right now. And so because we love each other enough to listen to each other's perspectives, I get to also see the motivation. And she gets to also see the victim mentality in this book. How beneficial is that? There are not words of the gratitude I feel for her different perspective and gratitude that I feel for her being able to share that with me in a manner that is respectful and kind and eye-opening. Even when I push back, I'm like, no, that's not what it's about. Beth just very patiently said, Gina, I think we're seeing two different things. I'm like, okay, I can go in that mode. So
I think it's ironic because that's kind of what the book is about to me, is how to see things totally different from other people.
True.
We get stuck in our own self-justification for how we see something. And therefore, we don't listen to how someone else sees something.
Because we've justified our actions by our perspective. Then when someone challenges our perspective, it feels like an attack.
Right. And attack always brings defensiveness. It's the animal in us. We're going to respond in, you're attacking me? Well, I'm going to defend.
It's so fun to see underneath that and around it and over and get past that wall and see, oh, a different perspective. It's just that. It's a different perspective. That's not attacking me. She doesn't get defensive and think I'm attacking her, even though I'm a little more aggressive in expressing my opinion than she is. She loves me anyway. Okay, so
Definitely.
enough preamble. We'll get to it. I'm going to have Beth start.
Okay, so have you ever noticed how you can feel right even when you're wrong? Or most of us notice when someone else does this, they think they're right even when they're wrong, right?
It's much easier to notice on somebody else, that's for sure.
In this episode, we're going to talk about why we do that. Why do we justify ourselves? And then there's emotional motivations behind that. The reasons that we justify ourselves are important to recognize, because once you recognize that motivation that's behind the justification, then is when the clarity comes. And you can start connecting with other people and their differences. It humbles us enough to see differently and to say, oh, maybe I could be wrong. Or
perhaps
it's not even about right or wrong necessarily. It's about that there's a different way to see it.
Oh, I love that you just said that. I love that you just said that.
It's huge.
It's not about right or wrong. No one is telling you you're wrong. They're telling you, oh, I see it differently. Yeah, do you care enough about me in this relationship to make space for me and the way I see it? Or do I have to see it your way in order to have love and connection and acceptance?
We all want love and connection and acceptance so badly that we'll literally betray ourselves.
Yes, and I love Brene Brown's. The opposite of connection is conformity.
Yes.
Because we want people to love us, but we're changing us. If you change who you are to be loved, then are you really loved? Or do they just love you because you're like them and they love them?
It gets so complex though, because we all have to give and take in a relationship. So at what point am I betraying myself versus am I being honest to myself?
Yeah, so true.
It gets so complex.
And we're the only ones that can answer that question.
Totally.
And I think this book helped both of us do that self-reflection. Right?
Absolutely. And still does. It's a map for that self-reflection.
Beth was reviewing the book and she's like, this is so good. Why did I ever put this down?
I'm studying and I'm like, wow, I forgot about all this.
Yeah, it's so good.
Step one is to recognize the impact of the justification in our lives, that it can affect how honest we are with ourselves and the comfort we have with ourselves. So that's the motivation for learning this, is that I need to see myself clearly.
And don't you think it creates some cognitive dissonance in us that we may not even recognize?
Causes us to get defensive, and we see others as objects or an obstacle to get past.
Or an enemy attacking.
Or right or wrong.
Black or white. Left or right.
And it doesn't matter with this whoever on the street, and it does, but it really matters in our relationships with your spouse, with your kids. My son's wrong, I'm right. Or my husband's wrong, I'm right. This is where it's going to cause friction if we don't understand it.
Friction and the opposite of connection. It causes isolation, which to me kills a tiny bit of love every time.
Justifications come from what? Why do we justify?
Is this the part where you're thinking motives? Okay, let's hear it. My motive is to protect myself, right? That's the knee-jerk gut instinct, human instinctual motive.
And in the book, he talks about different styles of doing that. Everyone
Okay.
kind of defends themselves in a different way, different manner, different personalities.
Some people are like a roly poly, where they curl up, or the possum and pretend to be dead.
Mm-hmm.
And
Mm-hmm.
others are grizzly bears and they attack back.
Or the wolf that moans, ooh. That's me.
Oh, that's me. I just complain.
I'm the moaner.
You complain and then curl up, and I complain and then attack.
Yes. So true. And if you picture that, one of us is going to win, and it's not me.
I try really hard not to attack you ever.
I'm pretty tough. I can take a lot. So let's look at the self-justification styles. I think that will help to
Okay.
explain the motivation behind our defensiveness.
Okay.
We've already brought up one, which is the victim. That's a style of protecting ourselves.
We say, I did that bad thing, but that's because somebody did that something bad to me.
Mm-hmm. That's when we see someone else as maybe higher than us or stronger than us, and we're a victim.
Can you do victim mentality if you feel like you're superior to somebody?
Oh, absolutely. And then there's the hero. So there's two parts of the hero, that you can be the hero and save the day, or you can be the martyr, meaning no one appreciates me. No one sees the hero in me.
I'm the hero, but no one appreciates that.
Yeah.
Thus the second Superman. Was it the second Superman movie where he became the martyr and everyone hated him?
It's kind of, I do everything for other people. Look at all that I'm doing. I'm so great. You inflate your own goodness because you're a hero. You're going to save the day. It's almost like I'm going to go visit my friend in the hospital.
Okay.
But I'm not just going to visit her. I'm going to bring her flowers. And I'm going to bring her balloons. And we're going to have a party. I'm going to bring a whole parade of people. And I'm going to save the day. Right?
I'm going to give her exactly what she needs and know exactly what to say. And
you see that it's almost a self-righteousness. I'm the hero.
Yeah, I play into that sometimes. So if I think of somebody else as above me, it doesn't even have to be somebody in this scenario, like the person I'm visiting in the hospital. Say I see my spouse as above me, then I might like do all these heroic things to try to build up to be in my eyes. And then I'm sure to tell my spouse, so he's sure to know that I'm on his level. I'm no longer beneath you. See all these great things I did? Okay.
And then we usually take it a step further, and you should appreciate those great things I did. Right?
How dare you criticize the way I squeeze the toothpaste tube? Did I not tell you about all these great things?
We all do it. I don't care who you are. We've all done this. Sorry.
What? Okay, I changed my mind. This is hitting a little too close to me.
Right. Okay.
Keep going.
The next one.
Please move on
to the blamer.
Ooh.
And it goes along with victim. It's just a little bit, if you weren't so incompetent, then I wouldn't be. Okay. I wouldn't have to act this way if you didn't act that way. So you're offloading your own personal accountability.
Oh, that's such a great word, offloading. That describes it perfectly. Here, you get to have my accountability.
Take it.
Thank you. Now love me because we're friends.
I think we do this to our kids so much. Why?
Well, we do it in every relationship. Yeah, why is the question? Because if you know the why, then you can recognize it and maybe stop it. Either recognize that you did it in the past and say, oh do the repent and repair work, or head it off at the past and not do it in the first place. That is the hope, right? Then
the next one, number 4, is the critic. This is when we think we're superior.
Okay.
When I'm not like them, I'm above them. It has some pride in it, some ego, and it has a lot of comparison and judgment.
Okay.
This is called the critic or the superior person.
Number 5, the overwhelmed one. I think our whole society is overwhelmed.
We use it as an excuse. I'm overwhelmed.
Well, and sometimes it is an excuse.
Yeah, that's true too. Good point. Yeah, it's pretty valid.
There are times when you're too overwhelmed to deal with somebody else's needs.
Or even
that can happen for a few days or even a few weeks till your project is done, but that can't happen for a few years. And you expect to have connection in your relationship.
Yeah, at some point, using the overwhelm keeps you from connecting.
The peacekeeper or the avoider, they just want to keep the peace. So when there's a conflict, they say, okay, just do it your way. And then there's some resentment is the cost. Maybe even, oh, I like this lack of my own integrity, my own honesty. If you don't feel like you can be honest in your relationship, then you start to wonder, what is love even about? Because I don't even have the space to be honest. I just do it your way and resent you later. And that's not fair to the person requesting that they do it their way. It's not fair to them either. Show up 10 years later and say, oh, here's all this resentment for all those times. You made me do it your way, not acknowledging that that was your choice, that you were the one too chicken to pay the price to have that space made for your voice.
Sometimes the avoidance is your protection. You're avoiding it to feel safe.
And you avoid the conflict at the moment.
Right. Put out the fire. I don't know if I like the word honesty, because maybe we just think that we're being honest and we're not.
How so?
Because I feel like when you are keeping the peace, it's a little bit of it can be from a good place. I'm going to keep the peace and be kind and loving, have integrity.
What you're saying is your motives are where you're focusing. I have integrity because my motives are pure.
Possibly. It can be.
But do you see that there's possibly a way to do both? That there's a way to keep the peace and be honest about your feelings?
No. I don't see that. I need to see that really bad.
So what you're saying is that that is a tool that you haven't used very often in your life.
Yeah, I need to figure that one out a little. Mm-hmm.
And part of it is, I think you've tried. Part of it is relationship dynamics, of course. When you got to find your own flavor, your own way to swing the axe, where you hold it.
Boundaries and all that. Yes.
Yeah, every tool is going to be used and accessed a little bit different in every dynamic. But yes, I would push back on that and say there is a way for both things to happen. For you not to have to just concede all the time and not have a voice, and to be honest, to have honesty and say, this is the way I see it. Oh,
and it's kind of what we're talking about, is being able to see things differently, and it's okay. It doesn't have to be a threat that somebody else sees it differently.
Yes, and I don't remember what session number it is in our coaching program, but it goes into that, how to approach someone. They don't have to know this stuff. We teach you ways to approach someone that will create a space for you without being a threat to them. That's the secret.
Okay, so number 7 is the rebel.
Is it bad that I'm so old? I think I've tried all of these.
Yes. No. Yes. No. I am too.
Your response was supposed to be, you don't look that old, Gina.
Oh, that's what I was supposed to say.
Yeah.
Okay. You don't.
The rebel. You can't tell me what to do. That's kind of that grizzly bear approach.
It's protecting our own selfishness. I want to be selfish. I want to do it my way.
What do you think? You think I have to be perfect?
Yeah.
Well, I can't be perfect. You've got to love and accept me the way I am, even if you have to pay the price for the way I am. Which
we do. When we're in a relationship, that's just how it is.
And no one's going to be perfect. And there is always an amount of tolerance and love and acceptance and paying the price for somebody else's weaknesses. But for you as the perpetrator to say, oh, tough, you just have to pay the price, it's just not going to go over real well. Right. It's going to kill connection.
Well, think of a child when they rebel. Do they ever really get what they want in the end?
Hopefully not.
Temporarily. But eventually they don't.
Right. That's true. Even if they have a parent that gives in to them, they don't get what they really need. Number 8. Neither one of us wants to do this. I actually have tried this on. The rule follower. I'm just doing what's expected. So it kind of can become a box checking. So I'm good because I check all the boxes. I went to church on Sunday. I did this that I'm supposed to do. I got an education. I don't know. We all have our own lists. Somebody else's list might not include church at all. We all have our own lists of what makes us good. And so once we've decided we've made our list and we've checked all the boxes, then how dare you come at me with I did something wrong? Look at the list.
Mhm.
I've done all these things on the list.
And I can show you, I can justify it, I can prove it.
Actually, my experience with narcissists, they use this.
Okay.
And I'm not saying everyone that is a rule follower is a narcissist by any means,
Sure.
but narcissists tend to use this. See, look what I did. I had a friend who had cancer and I mowed his lawn for him for 5 years. How dare you say I'm not a good person? Here's my proof. And they don't do it out of love and compassion. They do it out of proof that they're a good person.
Really, it's a form of hiding. So how is that a form of hiding? Behind the rules. You're not.
Because you don't have to exercise compassion. You don't have any of the mental load. You don't have to look at a person and say, well, maybe he didn't need his lawn mowed. Maybe what he needed was you to do the grocery shopping. I don't know.
A friend to talk to, or
a friend, yeah, or some compassion or some whatever. I find this with box checkers. They help you the way they want to help you because it's a pride thing. They don't come to you and say, hey, how can I help you? Because what if you say something they're not good at?
Interesting.
What do they do? That's way too vulnerable. So they just help you the way they want to help you. They give you the skills they have, and then they don't ever have to worry about learning a new skill to help you or heaven forbid having to ask somebody else to fulfill the need because you can't do that. Ego would just eat you alive if you did that. So this is an ego way of hiding behind, hey, I did something, I checked the box, I gave my platitude, oh, I'm sorry your husband died. If you need to talk or if you ever need anything, call me. Now the responsibility is in the hands of the person mourning. How dare we do that? I mean, it's good to say, please feel free to call me anytime. But if we don't pick up the phone and call them, how are we really sincere in our helping? If 3 months later you get that inkling, and we do,
Sure.
we get that little voice in our head that says, she lost her husband 3 months ago. Now is probably the time that she really needs a card or some support, and we should pick up the phone and call. How are you doing with this?
I think sometimes it's just traditions too. I'm following what's expected of me, and we can betray ourselves in following the rules because maybe what's expected of you isn't what you want, and we're afraid to say anything.
Right.
We're afraid to go against the grain. We're afraid to be different.
Because we're not accepted if we're different. Mm-hmm. So once again, we're conforming. Mm-hmm. And what's the opposite of connection? Conforming. Man, I love Brene Brown. I hope she's okay with me quoting her all the time. She's fantastic.
She's great. Okay, so let's go to the passive-aggressive style of justification.
We grew up with this. So we learned this from infancy. So passive-aggressive would be, instead of saying, hey, I think that you don't go to your spouse and say, spouse, I think we're doing finances wrong, and you're actually financially abusive because you don't let me have a say in how the money is spent. I don't get a voice in the budget. Instead, you just go out and spend a lot of money.
Who would do that? That's awful.
No, you didn't learn this in your childhood at all.
No, I don't know what you're talking about.
Is that so rude? That's so
no,
rude.
Not at all. I love it.
To call you out.
Love it so much. Absolutely own it. Yeah.
But that's passive aggressive. Okay. Instead of actually having a conversation and treating someone, I think it shows respect for a person when you can go to them and say, I respect you enough to have this hard conversation.
Oh, so much.
It's scary and my heart is racing and I'm afraid and I don't want to have this conversation with you.
And I'm probably going to mess it up.
I care enough about you to give you the courtesy instead of just being passive aggressive. I'm still going to be aggressive. I'm still going to get what I want. I do it sometimes too.
Sure, we all do.
I did it today.
You did?
Yes.
Did you get what you wanted?
Yes. I mean, I bought what I wanted. Does that count?
Doesn't it makes you feel like you're selling your integrity for a price, is what it
Yes.
does.
Yes. And it kills
My soul can be bought.
and it kills connection.
Yeah, it does. And you're the
Yeah.
one that chooses it. We're almost done. Number 10, the entitled one. And we all do this one so much. I deserve this because of everything that I've suffered, everything I've been through. I can show you how I deserve it. I've suffered this, 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 and this, and I deserve to eat this chocolate, or I deserve to go on vacation, or it is entitlement. And we
Yes,
all do it a little bit.
for sure, for sure. We all do all of these. I hope no one feels guilt except
Right.
me.
This is not guilty for me, except
Um,
me.
um, there's difference between acknowledging I did it wrong and feeling guilty, right? Don't feel like you're a terrible person because you did it wrong. We all do it wrong. Hopefully, this is an opportunity for you to see the ways you do it wrong and the whys. And if you fix the whys,
Then you're wise.
why, Beth? Why? You're the one that saw the motivation. Talk to me.
Okay. I think there's an honor in seeing what's true, no matter how hard it is, and no matter how small it is. It's humility plus ownership. And what happens is we gain so much more. We gain freedom and connection, and we
Connection.
gain self respect.
Even if the other person involved doesn't respect us,
Yeah. So
we still
happens quite often. Some questions you can ask yourself. When was the last time that I betrayed a feeling that I had to help someone else?
or to do something or change something or
And then what story did I tell myself afterward to feel right about not doing it or right about doing it? What story is in my head?
okay.
That's what I mean by motivation behind it.
What story am I telling myself to justify any of these 10 bad behaviors?
Mm-hmm. Am I rising to the duty in spite of all these obstacles and I'm doing it out of self-righteousness?
Am I giving in and being the peacemaker and then thinking I'm the better person because I
Right.
did?
Are you guys all checked out already? Philip's story
He
about
kept
how,
doing this. He kept doing this in the book. This is my only complaint about the book. He would tell
yeah,
the story, and then later he would reference the story by Philip's story, and you're like, I don't remember which one was Philip.
isn't it funny how we label things in our brains? Here is the extremely profound but also very simple story about Philip. So he planned a nice night with his wife after work. So he had this vision in his mind where he would gather his kids around him and read him a story and tuck him into bed and tell him that he loved them, right? We all do that during the day.
And his motivation was to be a good father and show his
Absolutely.
children that he loved them.
Yeah.
So his motives were pure.
Very important motivations.
Yeah.
But then his train was an hour late. And so he didn't get home when he wanted to. And he was tired when he got home. And when he walked in the door, he said, even though I'm tired, I'm still going to be kind. I'm going to make this night still happen.
Gonna salvage the rest of the time.
But then dinner wasn't on the table.
And the house was a mess.
It was her turn to fix it. And it wasn't done. Marcia's his wife. And she wasn't even getting dinner ready. The kids were being chaotic and fighting. And he thought for a moment that he ought to help her out, but then he got a little bitter.
Because her actions now means that he's not able to do what he had envisioned and express love and be the perfect father for the evening. Now he's paying the consequences for her actions. I think I needed to acknowledge that this moment, there's some really good reasons behind his resentment.
Definitely.
And that's the hook.
That's the trap.
That's the deception. That is the trap. Because there are really good reasons, but it doesn't change the outcome, which is?
Okay, so he says he got really mad and he wanted to just throw a tantrum, but he didn't. He controlled himself like he always does. And he hung up his coat so that there would be at least one less thing to put away. He did the right thing. And he went to work cleaning up the mess that he saw around him.
Yeah.
First, he put the children in the tub, got them properly bathed. Then he did the dishes, put away the clothes, and even vacuumed.
Yeah. I call this angry cleaning.
I like it.
Because Marcia's response was, would you please just stop? Stop what? Helping her? Did you ask what happened in her day? Maybe there was something that she felt was more important. Where is the space for her discernment? Where is the trust? Obviously, if he was expecting dinner on the table, that meant usually there's dinner on the table, right?
It's happened before, obviously, because there was an expectation.
So where's the trust?
Mm-hmm.
That Marcia chose something else other than dinner on the table and house clean tonight. There has to be a reason why. Maybe she had a child that needed some emotional support and her time and love, and maybe she had a trip to the emergency room. You, with a friend, you didn't even ask.
All the assumptions. It's assumption after assumption after assumption after assumption.
Yes. So he is judging her on a story that's made up in his head.
Mm-hmm.
Not
it's not fair.
Not that I relate to this at all.
Yeah, you're not getting heated or, defensive. Deep breaths, Gina. Deep breaths. We'll get through it.
Okay.
Philip says people who don't act responsibly are going to feel humiliated by people who do act responsibly.
Right. Superior.
And he would have given her the what for and talked back to her, but he didn't want to stoop to her level. Mm-hmm. He didn't have an anger expression on his face. He tried really hard.
Oh, what? He's my hero.
And finally, at 10 o'clock at night, he goes to bed and his wife is still mad at him, right? And because he's so great and he knows his wife, he asked her what was wrong.
And she said, nothing. No.
And they had a conversation. So he cleaned the house, but not for Marcia. He cleaned the house in spite of Marcia. He wasn't doing it as a team and as a couple and as a good father. He was doing it in spite of the fact.
In spite of her or to spite her.
And he didn't make the effort not for her, but for himself. Do you see that?
Yes, because there was no compassion. He didn't even ask her what happened that made this chaos. This isn't like you. Are you okay? Did something bad happen?
I'm sure something did.
Yeah. And maybe it didn't. Maybe she just needed a lazy day. Don't we all need that? Doesn't Philip need that sometimes? My guess is when Philip takes it, she picks up the slack for him and lets him have those days.
When we make excuses, this excuse always includes an accusation as well.
Mm-hmm. And putting ourselves above another person.
Mm-hmm.
I'll tell you what it doesn't include.
Okay.
And this has been a big deal for me as far as recognizing. Because, I don't know, I think backwards maybe, but it doesn't include compassion or concern for the other person. So if I find myself, doing the whole spinning wheel with all 10 of these and, boom, 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 boom. I don't just do one. I am an overachiever. What makes me stop is I realize, I don't have compassion for this other person involved. I am not even thinking about their needs. I'm only thinking about me.
Well, let's do it. We relate to Marcia's side of the story, but do we really show compassion for Philip's side of the story?
Absolutely. Like I said, his motives were pure. He had every good reason. He was paying the price for whatever.
He wasn't sitting on the couch. He does deserve some acknowledgement. Yeah.
Yeah, for sure. And he could have yelled. He didn't yell. His motives. Oh, now I see why you call it that all the time. His motives.
You're getting it.
His motives were self-centered. His motives were pure. He wanted to be a good father. He wanted to show love to his children. And he felt like Marcia was the enemy because she blocked that. And so she became the enemy. She became the reason he couldn't do that. And that's reality. That is Philip's reality that day. She became the reason he couldn't do it the way he had pictured. She became
the barrier between his expectation.
Yes, she became the reason he couldn't be a good father the way he had pictured it in his head.
I do this so much.
But he also had an opportunity to be a good father in a very different way.
And a good husband.
And a good husband, and he didn't. He passed up a great opportunity. So, do I feel compassion for Philip? Yes. With all of my heart, yes.
Yeah, we've both been both people at different times.
Of course.
It's interesting how often expectations get in the way of connection and how often expectations are a barrier to what we actually want. So, which justification styles do you see in yourself? And which ones do you relate to most? Yeah.
All of them. I've tried them all on and walked in those shoes for a hot minute. None of them worked. And when I discovered this program, it was like taking off the shoes and running barefoot in the meadow with no thorns, because I don't have to turn to any of these for my validation. I just have to turn to my heart and recognize that my heart is good and be honest.
Mm-hmm.
And it's hard. It's a very vulnerable thing to do. It's not easy. A, it's not easy to recognize when you're doing one of these 10 things. And B, it's hard. It puts you in a very vulnerable position. You're putting something on the altar, your heart, yourself, your soul. And if it's rejected, this is the dynamic I have found, okay? And I have a hard time judging my spouse for this because we have a lot of history. We've been married 33, going on 34 years, okay? I've done it wrong for 32 of those years, right? And so then I come to him with this, and he's like, I don't know what to do with that. He's actually said those words. I don't know what to do with it. This is new. This is different. I don't know. What am I supposed to do?
Give me a hot minute.
Yeah. This dance move that is well rehearsed has changed, and I'm not sure if I'm supposed to step back or left or right. Or he doesn't know what to do. He doesn't know how to trust that I'm going to do it differently, and with good reason. And sometimes I backstep because learning is a learning process, right? You're not going to do it perfectly. I'm practicing these things. When I find that I'm not sure if I know how to even accept this from him, I'm really tolerant of it because he's not wrong. I did it wrong. I did the passive aggressive things. So then when I come out and say, this is the way it is, and I try to do it correctly, he's like, I don't know how to trust this. So I am reaping the consequences of my actions. I have created this, and that's part of me taking my own accountability.
Sure. And you can change it. You can reap different responses and different reactions.
Yes.
It's a lot of work, and it takes two people being willing to change the pattern.
Be patient and tolerant with each other. Mm-hmm. I've also noticed that when I go into a shame spiral about me doing it wrong for 30 years, it doesn't help. It actually hurts a lot. Mm-hmm. It kills the connection faster than anything else. Mm-hmm. I don't know if that's because of who I married or who I don't know. Right. I don't know if everyone else experiences that same, but when I go into my shame that, I did this bad, I'm an awful person, it does not help. Yes, shame does not help.
It doesn't serve a purpose.
No, because
why do you think darkness uses it? Shame lives in darkness.
Yeah, shame lives in darkness. Yeah. And these principles that we're teaching and the program that we teach lives in the light.
Yeah. It gives you clarity. It's opening, like your picture behind you. It's bright light. It's revealing truth. Can I do a summary of what I got from it? I feel really passionate about the concepts that I get from this because to me, it points to childlike love. To me, it points to doing everything out of that childlike love place. And the motivation being love. I can give an example. There's another book by Michael Wilcox, and he tells the story of when he was a child and he went to church, and in his church class, I think they called it primary, When he went to primary, leader, and he got all of his friends to be naughty and awful to their teachers, teacher after teacher after teacher. And they couldn't keep a teacher in that class to be with those kids. Finally, after looking, they found one woman who actually got them to kind of sort of obey for a little while, because she brought homemade, delicious dessert for them every single week. She didn't give them the dessert unless they did earn it. And so he wanted that dessert, and it did get him to obey for a little while. She got taken away and he got a different teacher. And this teacher was a football type of guy, and he was rough and tough and deliberate and mean and scary. And they did obey him, this other teacher, but they obeyed him. Why? Because they were afraid. He created a fear in them, so they were obeying out of fear. And then another teacher that got their class to obey was another man. He was smaller and kind, and so kind that they just ruled the class. I mean, they did anything they wanted. He said that even sometimes they would throw spitballs, and they were awful to this teacher. And one day they had been so bad that the teacher turned and put his head against the chalkboard, and he saw the shoulders of this man start to shake, and he realized that this teacher was crying, and they had driven him to tears. And all of a sudden the class was quiet, and they all just sat there watching this man that they had caused cry. And he said they obeyed. But why?
Shame.
Out of guilt and shame. Can you imagine on your wedding day, you look into the eyes of the person you've chosen to spend the rest of your life with. Everybody's there, your aunts, your uncles. You spent all this money on cakes and celebrating. And you look up into the eyes of the person you're going to commit with, and you see that they're there for a reward, or you see that they're there out of guilt. You look in their eyes and they just have so much shame. Or you look in their eyes and you see that they're there out of fear. They're afraid of doing all the wrong things, but so they're doing the right thing. But the truth is, you need to look at your partner and see love and know that they are there because they love you. And are you there because you love them? Because we can play and toy with all these other motivations, but in the end, it's that childlike love
that we all need and we all deserve. Every person deserves that love.
So check, are your motivations coming from love?
That was beautiful, Beth.
That's what I meant by motivation.
I love it. I love it. I love it. And see, I was just focusing on one of those motivations, one of 10.
Oh, okay.
And I was so focused, ultra focused on that.
That's okay.
I'm really grateful that I was willing to stop and listen to you.
You're sweet.
Because you opened my eyes to 9 others. And then the beauty of bringing light and love and having that be our motivation. It was beautiful. And here I was so sure that I was in the right, and this whole book was about victim mentality.
Well, it is a lot. But the victim mentality can keep us from the light and the love.
For sure.
And I want that for people. I want them to be able to feel love from others, and we don't know how to feel it anymore. We don't even know where to find it.
Why?
Because we're not serving from the right motivations. We're justifying everything.
And because we are, he uses the term self-betrayal in the book a lot.
Yeah.
So we're betraying ourselves. And because we're betraying ourselves repeatedly, we don't have the love and respect for ourselves. And you cannot give love or accept love if you don't love yourself. God knew that. I mean, what's the 2 great commandments? Love God and love your neighbor as yourself.
I don't think you can love your neighbor any different than you love yourself. That's what you're saying, right?
Yes. So if you have betrayed yourself and you're not honest, or you have victim mentality, or put yourself above others and all these things, you can't have enough love for yourself. You have this amount of love for yourself. So this is the only level of love you can give to others, and it's the only level of love you can receive from others. But The love is, can be clear up here, right? There's so much more that you could give and so much more that you could receive if you found the way to love yourself. And the way to love yourself is to be honest and true to yourself.
I would give advice to go back to that childlike love in your heart, because that love is not comparing. It's not, it doesn't have all that pressure of expectation. It doesn't have, it can. I know there's a bunch of different circumstances for all of us in childhood, but we all know that childlike, hey, you want to be my friend? Okay, let's be friends.
Yeah.
Just
What's your name?
because you're next to me, there's
Yeah.
no judgment in that. It's just completely, I love you. I like you. Let's move forward
Yeah.
together.
Children don't look at what you're wearing or what color your skin is or how tall or short or fat or skinny you are.
Mm-hmm.
They're just like, you want to be my friend? Let's play.
That childlike, I think we could do a whole nother, the next episode or the next point to explore would be how to do that childlike love and how to love from a place of motivation.
And I will push back a teeny bit. I, like you said, and I think you did that. There's some people that have never experienced that given to them,
I agree.
but they probably have experienced feeling it.
Can't
And,
imagine they haven't.
and maybe not, and maybe not. Maybe
Oh,
someone
no.
who's in a toxic situation, like I read a book about a man who was raised by an alcoholic mother, right? And so all of his motives, in fact, I see these 10, all 10 of these things he tried with his mom to try to get that love, and he never did. So all of his motives were just to try to earn love. And I don't think that's what we're talking about when we're
Oh,
talking
I
about
see.
childlike love. So I think maybe some people might have a hard time with that next step. It's a really good idea to explore that.
Included in the notes to this show, I'm going to have a worksheet for you to work through. And one of the exercises will be to track. Am I shifting between self betrayal or self honesty? And I think that's where it will start. Just track every day. What?
So when you say self betrayal, you mean one of these 10 things?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
I love it.
So just track it, start to see, and you will show yourself.
Yes. I love that about our program. We give you the tools, you show yourself. You
You show
teach yourself.
yourself, see what you come up with. And you're not going to be perfect, and neither are the people that you love. But
Right.
when you can serve and give and not betray yourself, you will find freedom and love in your life for the first time, maybe.
One important thing I want to say is if you go through the worksheets or you read this book and you find yourself thinking of another person, you need to really do some self-examination. This isn't about seeing how other people do it wrong, but be very careful. This is about you, and this is a moment for your own self-reflection. I guarantee if there's a conflict between you and another person in your life, whether it be a parent or a sister or a friend or a coworker, there is a point and a place where you're doing it wrong, where you're falling into these 10 categories.
Right there with you. We're right there with you. We betray ourselves, but what happens is we begin to see the world in a way that justifies our betrayal. And we tell ourselves these stories, and then we get stuck in that trap of that story.
And we can't get out because what we really long for and need is honesty, accountability, integrity. And it's that big hole if those things are missing. If we're drowning in this self betrayal spiral in any of those 10 or all of them, in my case, there's a huge hole in your life and you'll feel it. You'll feel it in loneliness. You'll feel what is the term I heard the other day? A God shaped hole in your life. This is a self shaped hole in your life. You won't even know who you are. And how can you give love and interact with people if you don't even know yourself, know and love yourself?
So I challenge each of you to live every day without justification.